The following is a Live the Dream Media production.
All right. It feels good to be good. Feels good to be back in the seat here on local Marana. I've been running around dealing with this tech stuff with Xfinity and getting Starlink on, and and everybody else on the team has been doing the same thing, but finally back here to talk. And I'm really pumped because local Marana has guests booked out all the way until May. And that's something really cool, and it's because the listeners and viewers are recommending people are watching and asking to be on the show. If you've reached out and I haven't gotten back to you yet, I do apologize. It's just we want to make sure we have a really good broadcast network for what we're doing, and we've been working hard to make that happen. Before we get started today, I want to thank Shay for being in the box today. Thank you, Shay. If you want to show yourself cool, that'd be awesome. If not, I totally understand. She doesn't like when I pronounce. Well, there she is. She's the one running all the tech for today. So when you see all this going on, that's who's running it. But anyways, we're going to get started. So I brought in a guest that's been here before, and I'm pumped. It's Vera Earl Ranch, premium beef, and they deliver amazing quality with their food, their meat. And my family and I have gone out to the spot in Sonoita many times to grab specific cuts that we really enjoy, and we'll talk about those. And Ian was on the show a couple months ago, and we're just going to connect, and we're going to talk about some summer cooking and what recommendations he has for cuts and stuff for time, and then things if you do have more time to smoke. There's a lot of opportunities to enjoy some premium beef, and we're going to talk about those. So before we do, I'd like for Ian to talk about what he does and what he's responsible for and how big the ranch is. I think that's the coolest thing to share. It's just how huge it is. So
yeah, I'm with Vera Earl Ranch Incorporated, and then we have a farm-to-table beef company called Vera Earl Premium Beef. I'm a third generation. My two daughters will be fourth generation when they come back. The ranch started out in 1968 when my grandfather and my grandmother purchased it. It was smaller back then. Throughout 2008 until 2015, we've kind of expanded through purchasing leases and partnering with other ranches where we manage the cattle. All in all, in Arizona, the ranches are about 200,000 acres. We run 2,900 mother cows. They're Black Angus cross cows or Black Angus cows. So I think everybody's heard of Black Angus. So that's they're good cattle. We're down in Sonoita, so it's a little different than what people perhaps are used to seeing up here. Where as you crest over the hill going down towards Sonoita, there's a pretty significant change in grasslands and the topography. Where you get into more rolling grasslands and you get out of a desert kind of setting like you would in Vail. We average 16 to 20 inches of rain. So, in good years, the grass is knee high and it looks probably more like eastern Montana than you would kind of Tucson, right? Sonoita is beautiful. We just try and keep enhancing the ecosystem we graze within and keep that beauty alive. 5 years ago, I guess maybe, during COVID, which is a great time to start a business.
Yeah, we would know.
Right. And my daughters were home from school, obviously, and working for me, and they asked about selling beef. And I didn't think much of it other than it's something I could have them do research on, and it would keep them busy for a while. So they did market research on percentage of the public that's had prime beef and the percentage of the public that's had dry aged beef. And it was super small. It was like 4%. And so then it spurred in our minds, like, okay, we have a pretty cool story with the ranch, locally owned, great environmental type of story on what we do with our stewardship. If we combine all of that, especially with people really wanting to know where their food comes from, with the dry aging process of the entire carcass, not just, the specific cuts, and have a high grading product, maybe we've got something unique that a lot of people don't have. And that was kind of the start of it, really. Totally different business environment, totally different mindset than running cattle. And so I didn't know diddly squat about it. We've learned a lot. There's a lot of things we got really lucky about. And there's a lot of, we made tons of mistakes, still make mistakes, but we're learning from them. It's just, had I looked back, we decided to dry age the entire carcass, which has since become kind of our shtick, if you will, because you can't find, well, I said you can find, but you can't find much of it out there. Dry aged chuck roast or dry aged ground beef or, a 21-day dry aged all chuck hot dog, right? That's just not there. And at the beginning, that was just luck when we decided to do that. We were thinking dry age kind of more on the steaks because you've seen that some. But there was no way for us to really accomplish that without owning a packing plant, and we didn't want another business. So when we dry aged the entire carcass, it produced this really unique product, and we just lucked into that. And so now, and then there's some ancillary things that go with it, like your shrink is much less. So when someone buys a 16-ounce steak from us, you cook it, and if you weighed it off after you cooked it, depending on what level you cook it to, it's probably going to come back at 15 ounces, 15 and a quarter ounces. You take a wet aged steak or just a steak from a grocery store, and there's nothing wrong safety-wise or anything with that. We just choose to do it differently. You're going to cook a 16-ounce steak, and it's going to cook down to 13 and a half ounces. So your yield of what you're buying from us is much better, which really helps with restaurant business. And the consumer, just a retail consumer doesn't always, that's not a great selling point as much as flavor in the story and creating an experience for them to feel part of what we do, both on the ground ranching and then also in how we sell meat. So that shrink rate can make you, we've never really promoted it, but you're getting what you buy really close. And I had no idea, like zero, zilch on that.
Yeah.
And the flavor profiles that it changed and chuck roasts and ground beef and that type of stuff. You need a lot of luck going along. So I feel like we got some of that.
Yeah.
And that. And, we look back 3-4 years later and be like, wow, we were lucky.
Yeah. You talk about the amount of rain and stuff you guys get. And the last time I made it out there, it snowed.
That's right.
We hopped in the car and, it was just finishing snowing here. And Pops and I hit the highway and we're like, let's go. And we called to see if y'all were open, and you were. And we drove out there, and all those rolling grasslands were covered in snow. It was beautiful. And you could see the cows and stuff out there, those little specks just all over, it's just so big and so cool. But yeah, we went out there and there was snow, and it was great. And I've been out there when there wasn't snow, and there's something to add on to with the experience of going out there to visit you guys. Right? You talk about the scenery and everything. There's various spots to stop along the way if you wanted to have a picnic, if you wanted to just get away for a little bit, have some fresh air, and just take in some nature, right? Without all the city hustle and all that stuff. And, for me and my family, and we were talking with Clint and Tammy, there's an experience added on to that, of going out and visiting and purchasing some of the dry age stuff, is you get that part of it too. It's a quick little road trip. It's like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, depending how fast you're driving. Do the speed limit. I would suggest doing that. And it's just great. And you talk about getting lucky, right? That stuff is amazing. And there's a couple cuts that I was sharing with you that we like to get in particular that you can get out there. And the coolest part about the experiences is when you go in, you have all these freezers, right? And we get to go in there and open it and grab the cut and the one we want, right? You open it and it's like, wow, all this stuff's here. It's really, really cool, as opposed to, which I don't knock. I still go buy meat at the store and everything, but when you go to the store, you're like, lately I've been hoping that there's something,
right?
You know what I mean? It's been like, I go and I have a spot where I've been really successful with getting the really good cuts of meat that they have in stock, and I'm not going to give it away on there. It's a grocery store. I'm not telling the location or anything, but anyways, going back is you get to go and choose and find what you want. I was talking to you about all the marbling and everything in the New York and the ribeyes, and then there's the Denver cut. I know that those. I don't think you guys have those in stock all the time, right? Because they kind of just fly off the.
We have them in stock. We have a local restaurant that's using them right now, Bata.
No kidding.
And,
so that's a spot to go eat and try the Denvers. Okay.
Yeah. The Denver's kind of an unheralded cut. It's off the shoulder. It's in a muscle that's not the cattle don't use very much. So there's a lot of marbling, super tender, and really kind of packages up well. Whereas, sometimes some people don't want a 16-ounce steak, right? Mm-hmm. Well, these things are going to package up at, 6 to 9 ounces. They're thinner, just because of where they sit on the cattle. But they're a quick cook. You can marinate them. You can just put a little olive oil and salt and pepper on them and grill them. You can cook them on a flat top. There's a lot of different ways you can prepare them. It's just a cut you don't see very often. You see it some in restaurants, but it's somewhat of a unheralded cut, if you will. I mean, and when you're talking about driving down and, we do deliver to Tucson once or twice a week. Kind of we have a route that we do for the restaurants and then can build that into delivering different orders. But we want to create an experience for someone who comes down and decides to come into the store, whether or not they buy anything. So, part and parcel to that is having the drive down, right, to Sonoita, whether you're on whether you're on 90 coming out of Benson, 82 between Sierra Vista and Sonoita, or 83 coming from Tucson, right? You drive through the middle of the ranch on any of those roads. So you kind of get to see it. And you're talking about seeing the cattle. Anybody can sell beef, right? And there's virtues that change that beef up, flavor profile, story behind it, things like that. We want to tell that story, but we also want the customer to feel part of it. And that goes to wholesale as well. And we want them to come in and experience it and be like, those cattle right behind here eventually end up in here, like literally behind the office.
They're just step outside. They're right there. Yeah.
And so we want them to feel part of that. We want them to see us on Facebook or see our horse operation on Facebook, see how we do things, kind of become somewhat of a part of it. Because it's great tasting beef and it's different and it's unique. But we get that partnership, that kind of feeling the experience, then it really kind of enhances it and makes it kind of culinary experience, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, we're going to get ready to go to a break. And when we get back, we are going to talk behind the scenes stuff we're seeing on social media. Also, talk about cuts and cooks for the summer. Get people ready. It's going to get hot. People are going to be out by the pool. They're going to be doing stuff with their family. I want to set them up right. We'll be right back after these sponsors.
Looking for the best outdoor patio in Tucson? Look no further than St. Philip's Plaza at the southeast corner of River and Campbell, where you can sip on Tucson's finest collection of whiskey at Union Public House, brunch 7 days a week at Reforma Modern Mexican Mezcal and Tequila, and experience our newest restaurant, Proof, proudly serving house-made pasta and artisanal pizza. Enjoy live music and dine under the stars with Union, Reforma, and Proof. Join us at St. Philip's Plaza.
Hi, this is Sean McCluskey, co-owner and designated broker for Rincon Ventures. If you're a rental owner by choice or by accident and you're looking to hire or change property management companies, consider Rincon Ventures. We employ an aggressive web-based advertising strategy to market your rental. We thoroughly screen prospective tenants and conduct routine property inspections. Our online system gives tenants the ability to pay rent and file maintenance requests instantly over the web. Our owners can use the same system to instantly check on their properties. Call Rincon Ventures at 881-2258 or visit us on the web at rvprop.com.
80% of those that have been incarcerated have been in foster care. So that's crazy to think that 8 out of every 10 inmates, male or female, have touched the foster care system. So if we can break the cycles that cause the foster care system to even be in existence, we're going to change society.
At GAP, I found love.
I found family.
It means hope. It was almost like I had a family away from my own family. At GAP, I found home.
All right, we're back. Thanks for taking us to that break, Shay. Appreciate your work. Okay, we're going to talk about behind the scenes stuff I've been seeing on social media. That is so cool. You've got somebody doing something pretty cool over there. The photos, they just look amazing. And it just gives you, somebody wrote this on LinkedIn to me. I had posted some behind the scenes stuff we did at the Gap Ministries with Christopher D. Simone last week. And it tells a story, right? But I've been seeing pictures of like the ranchers working and stuff like that. And it's so cool. And are you doing that, or is there somebody, do you have like a team doing that? How's that happening?
Yeah. So we have a group out of Montana that does most of our social media and some of our marketing, as well as our emails. And that's part of creating the experience, right? Mm-hmm. People, they can go to our website, but if you start to see that social media, and there's different themes and different pictures, and pictures of us working cattle or pictures of us riding or landscape pictures. We have a horse page that's, now detailing all the baby colts that are being born. People start to feel more of a part of it and get where it just helps tell the story of where the beef comes from. Mm-hmm. And kind of illustrates in a lot of ways what we do every day to provide that beef and the care and time that goes into it. And then it helps explain some of the certifications we have. So the no antibiotics, non-hormone, we're GAP certified, which means we could sell to Whole Foods. It's their own kind of certification program. Care certified, which is a stewardship, animal husbandry, philanthropy, certification, all third-party certified. So it's not just me coming up here and giving you some BS line about X, Y, and Z. It's actually, we have a group comes out, IMI Global and Earth Claims. And they audit me. I spend a day with them every year going through all of our different stuff to show them that we are what we say we are. And that's part of it was one of the tenets of what we were, when we built the business, is that we were going to be fully transparent and tell people what we are and then hold ourselves to that same standard.
Right. So you said Whole Foods has their own certification for sale of meat in their stores. That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called GAP, Global Animal Partnership. And they started it. I think it's sold other places now, but predominantly it goes to Whole Foods. And you have different levels. We're GAP stage 4, which means the cattle are fed grain, but have bigger pastures to roam around in. And so we fit that certification as opposed to a conventional feedlot, that has pens, but not as big as what we do. You have to, there's certain animal husbandry guidelines you have to adhere to. And then the no antibiotics, no hormones, no animal byproducts in the feed. So it's 100% grain and hay and molasses. We source all of our feed within 100 miles of the ranch, trying to keep everything as local and local to Southern Arizona as possible. Big believers in, if you're a small business and you want people to support local, you better do it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Practice what you preach, huh?
Exactly.
I was at the street fair. This is a funny story about that. I was at the street fair and I'm just walking, I just listen and I saw somebody, I won't say the name or whatever, and local business and whatever. And I see somebody grab the product and it says it's made in, it was another country. I won't give the country credit, but it was made in another country. And the person's like, "What are you doing, dude? I thought you were local." Like, just called them out in the middle of the street fair in front of everybody. And I was like, oh man. But the banner was like local this, local, support local, and everything. And it was like everything was made in a different country. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So, but yeah, no, it's important to practice what you preach, and you guys are doing it just in so many different ways. It's really, really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, again, there's some things you get lucky at.
I love it. Some things you need some luck.
Right.
I mean, I don't think in any entrepreneurial journey you can just like predict every single element of what's going to happen, and you got to test. You got to risk, right? It's all part of it. Is sometimes the risk works out, whether it was luck or you did accomplish a process or something, but you gotta have some of that, man. I mean, there's no denying.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in full disclosure, I actually have a tattoo on my arm that says "Luck favors the brave." I'm not smart enough to think of that quote. My wife heard it, and I just thought it was neat because you hear conversations, right? Oh, so and so got lucky, or she got lucky, or she, yeah. Everybody, there's an amount of luck to everything. I'm a firm believer in that. But you have to enjoy the process so much, and the grind, if you will. And I know it's a nouveau term that everyone's kicking around, that when that luck comes along, you're able to take advantage of it. Lots of people get lucky and don't even know they're getting lucky, right? And then aren't in a position to take advantage of it or roll with it. But like succeeding or reaching a goal, that's a fleeting feeling because you get there and then what's next?
You said another one.
You keep going up, right? So I'm a firm believer. You got to enjoy the time in between the periods of where you reach your goals. Because if you don't enjoy those times, you're going to only enjoy 10% of the whole journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I something that gets said a lot around here is enjoy even the little wins. You got to recognize just even those little wins. Because they might seem small at that point, but it compounds into so much more over time.
100%. We like to refer to that as stackable.
Yeah.
You stack a lot of little wins on top of themselves, and then you end up with a big win.
Yeah.
We've got a rule both on the ranch, and my daughter shows horses, and we show horses out of our barn. You got a 12-hour rule. Success, we got 12 hours to celebrate. That's back at it. If something doesn't go your way, you got 12 hours to be pissed off and then back at it. And that keeps everything in perspective. The moment never gets too big. Because if you're only celebrating or, upset for 12 hours, you can walk into the biggest moments in the world and be like, I either do this or I don't. I got 12 hours to really be happy about it or 12 hours to sulk. Right. And then on to the next stop, if you will.
I love that. I think this podcast quickly turned into entrepreneurship 101.
I didn't mean it to do
that.
No,
it's good. No, that's why we do this stuff. There's a legit hunger for folks that want to be entrepreneurs. I saw something from the Dave Ramsey Network this morning where 70% of the workforce wants to actually be entrepreneurs, right? And there was a conversation of what it takes and how to make it happen. You talk about stackable. How long have you been stacking, Ian?
Probably since we first started. I mean, when I moved down here in 2000.
Yeah. So we're 2025. So it's 25 years of stacking, right? And to you, I'm a baby. We're a baby. This whole thing's a baby, right? We're moving into our 6th year of stacking, right? And then I don't know if you're familiar. Have you heard of Alex Hormizi?
I have not.
So he talks about entrepreneurship and he talks about how people start and then they get stuck in this cycle. And it's this cycle that they live over and over and over again for years in the entrepreneurship. And when they start, and you'll probably agree with it, when you first start something or you're bringing in something new, even you, because I know you guys are still finding ways to innovate, right? You're finding new ways to do things. It's this uninformed optimism. Right? You're going into it, it's new, yeah, dude. We're gonna kill it, dude. And then you get into the mud, right, of where things are happening, and it becomes pretty relentless, and you're trying to figure out how to make it happen. And if you talk about your 12-hour window, if you're stuck fixated on how things went wrong, and you're completely grieving about it for a long time, that's going to set you back, right? And instead of focusing even on the little things that happen in the mud. Right. And he said, well, what'll happen is folks, they get caught in the mud, and they're in there and they start losing focus because they see, oh, that guy over there or gal over there is doing something really cool. They just started. It looks awesome, because those people are in the uninformed optimism stage. So then this person will jump out of the mud instead of stacking and go right back to something new in the uninformed optimism stage.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to 90% of the entrepreneurs that do enter into it.
Yeah, I'd probably say higher.
Yeah, probably higher. Yeah, probably from what you've seen, right?
Yeah, we were really, really lucky, or I was really lucky to watch my dad in business, and then how he and my grandfather did things, and I didn't understand because I was just a little kid. How they did things, how they managed, how they interacted with their employees, how they set themselves up going forward. I just observed it and really didn't take it into account till I was thrown into it, where I had to run something, and then found myself going back to those types of thoughts and going, holy smokes, that's why they did that. That's why they did that. So much of it, I mean, I've forged my own path and I have my own style. I'm not just like they are. But, and I'm talking growing business and things like that. But it's weird looking back, how much of that I kind of drew on. And heck, at times I was 8 years old, But one thing that's...
so you remember stuff when you were 8 years old about the business?
Yeah, not the cattle business.
Yeah.
They were in the commercial laundry business in Seattle, Washington.
But still in business, right?
Yes,
yeah.
100%.
Wow.
And so, but you go with that. And one of the best things that I somehow learned was to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. It doesn't have to, you got to put your ego at the back door and just get people around you. One guy might be a great mechanic, and, one woman like Sonora might be a fabulous marketer and kind of manager of stuff. And all of those attributes, if you look at them as individually, they're better than me in every single one of those deals. Cowboys, there's certain cowboys that are way better than me, right? That work with me. But you're not forming something for yourself. You're forming a team to be successful in a business that you manage or own. And if you can put your ego to the side and have all those different parts, if you will, that collectively make a really strong business and individually are better than you in each one of them, or whatever sector they're in, I think, I don't know for sure, but that's how you create something long-lasting. Everybody wants money, right? If you chase money, I think you go in the wrong direction. We have a basic principle within all of our businesses that we're not chasing the bottom dollar. We're chasing something else. We want to be better. Like our horse operation, it's just create good horses. We make good horses. The finances take care of themselves eventually. We chase the shiny object. We're never, ever going to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish by chasing that. Stay in your own lane, figure stuff out, and have a goal 10, 15, 20 years in advance. Yeah. And don't stop pushing towards it. We can talk about beef too.
Yeah, we will. No, you're bringing up a great point, and you talk about mentorship, right? That's an important thing to this. I think every successful business person or owner I've talked to highlights the same thing. And I am lucky, and I would say blessed. I have two business mentors, Clint Peak and Tammy Peak, that are here with us. Mm-hmm. And I get to see and hear stories from all the stuff they were involved in. You know, they owned a trucking company, they own a bakery, like all these different things they've done and succeeded at. You know, and they're transparent with when things didn't go wrong, but they do that knowing that I can take that education, like you were seeing things happening, and answering why they did that now, right? And I know for sure, like my mentor will let me go get in some mud just so I get the experience from it. And he'll know, like, that's probably not a good idea, right? Like, but he'll let me go and experience it for myself. And it talks about how that just brings up how important mentorship in this is. And I think sometimes people get really caught up in the idea that it's the me show, like you said, right? It's all about what am I doing? You know, how can I make this work for me and all that? But like you said, you got to bring in people that are really good at certain things. You know, it's like I could be in there running the box all day if I wanted to. I built, you know,
right.
Or Clint could be in there all day. We built that thing, right? But if we're just doing that all day, how are we going and getting anything else done, right? And it's putting people like Shay and Joseph that we have here in the morning of the show. You have to build stuff around you to help accomplish the goal, and having a mentorship is imperative. And my piggyback off of what you're saying is go do that. You know, you said you are lucky. You had your family. You know, like for me, my family's not in business at all, right? My family, there was one entrepreneur on my mom's side that owned an auto shop, you know, and he did that for a while. But other than that, there's really, and then I had an uncle that he's still running a business, but that's it. But I didn't get mentorship from those, right? They passed away and they're doing their own things. But if sometimes you have to go seek it, right? Step out of your comfort zone and go do it. But,
yeah, because if you're comfortable, you're not getting anywhere.
Preach.
I mean,
preach.
You know, there's a ton of sayings out there now, but I'm a firm believer in it that the only time you make progress is when you're uncomfortable. Comfortable, that's that 12-hour rule, right? Same principle. If you're comfortable, that's great. Everybody wants to be comfortable. Okay, but are you really getting anywhere?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think back, or at least I think back to when we were coming up, and by the way, mentorship just means you're old. You've been around and seen a bunch of stuff, right? I mean, really, no one wants a 30-year-old mentor. They haven't lived long enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they might be smart. They might be the most wonderful individual, but you haven't lived long enough. You haven't seen all the stuff that can go wrong and been in it and had to get back out of it and square things up and move forward. But that's why we talk about enjoying the process, because the process is all that. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know things aren't going to go right. You're the luckiest son of a gun in the world if everything always goes right.
Yeah.
And so, and you
Show
know,
me one of those people that
right,
always does.
Right. And then the mentorship part, like that's where the mentor, if you've got a, you know, and it wasn't just my parent or my father or my grandfather, but I had some people who helped me within agriculture and learn a bunch of different things, and I could call, and I got those people around me and held them close so that I could learn how to trade on the Chicago Board of Trade, how to evaluate cattle when we're putting them into a feedlot, buying and selling, all that different stuff. And they were all older, right? I mean, a couple of them have passed, and they'd seen it. I was just, at the time, still, you know, compared to them, still am the young kid coming up. But you got to have those people you can ask questions to. And if they're really good, and I'm learning this with my daughters who both want to come back and run the company, is the mentor like you said.
How lucky are you on that end, too,
oh, man.
Dude.
It is the best. I tell people all the time, there is no greater compliment, out, you know, ranching or otherwise, than having your kids come back and want to do what you do or what you created. There's like, bar none, nothing as far as accomplishments or anything exceeds that. It's the neatest feeling in the world. I have one daughter who's going to graduate college this year, and she's coming home in September. The other one's just starting college, so we'll see where she goes. But the oldest wants to come back. You know, and I told them, I said, I'm going to slow down in 10 years, right? I'm 50 years old. And they're like, no, you can't. And I can't stop working. I love working. But for them, I have to, because I've got to let them. And That's going to be the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is go make the mistakes, learn from them, deal with them, work themselves out of them. Because if they just come in and I oversee them and, we just kind of go along, they don't see the hardships. They don't have to think through something. It's so much more powerful when they can think through something, figure it out, right or wrong, and get out of it. And then look back and say, well, I should have done X, Y, and Z. I did A, B, and C, but I eventually figured it out, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing more powerful than that, right? In my industry, I've seen people my age and older still have to call mommy and daddy to make a decision. I don't want to be that dad. I want them to be able to make decisions. They can make the call. Hopefully I keep them out of the really, really bad ones. But that's I think they'll learn better. And hopefully they're way better at it than I am.
It's awesome. Yeah. That's what you want.
Right.
Be better, right? Yeah. Oh man, it's amazing. You're a lucky dude, Ian, for sure.
Very much so.
Hey, we got a couple minutes left. So let's, now that we've gotten the business and entrepreneurship, mentorship subject matter down for people. So, hey, if you're listening, share this with some people in the business, in entrepreneurship. I think this would definitely help them with what they're doing. Let's talk meat. Let's talk cuts. Let's talk summertime, right? Here we are in the spring. I know it's going to get close to 100 degrees this weekend, which, it's mixed emotions for me on that one.
Right.
But there's different types of cooks we want to do in the summer. Sometimes we're looking for that cut of meat that can just sit in the smoker for 8 hours plus or 6 hours plus, and we're watching football or we're doing other things while that's happening, and then there's other cuts where we want something pretty quick we can share with the family while they're hanging out at the house or if they're in the pool. Burgers and hot dogs, right? We get that, but let's get outside of that. What are you recommending for that family get together? Either we're grilling or, just a quick cook. There's some meats that we can share. We could cut up, maybe make tacos. Give us something. What are you recommending? You told me you're just enough to be dangerous with this stuff.
I'm not a smoker. I'm the cheater when it comes to smoking. I put it in that thing and I plug the meat thermometer into it and set it at a time, and I walk away with the smoker. So I'm not one of those guys.
I'm the same way. I'm not the guy that grabs the
feeds wood.
Like my pops would even go buy a certain flavor of wood.
Right.
I'm like, we just got him a pellet grill. I'm like, Dad, you need to slow down a little bit. Why don't you just do this, dude?
Yeah, I'm not that guy. I guess there's too much ADHD in me, and I can't sit there and stare at that dang thing for 18 hours. And God love the people that can, because it can really create some cool meat and some really good meat. I want to say one thing about the burgers and the hot dogs. We are not your normal burger and hot dog.
All right, tell us about it.
So the ground beef is 21-day dry aged. We'll give you 4 selections in grind. So we have a ground brisket burger, which is 100% brisket. Super, super flavorful.
Oh, man.
We've got, and then we also have that version of burger with cheddar and bacon in it, and blue cheese and bacon in it, and a jalapeno cheddar.
Okay, man.
Which is super cool. We've got just our standard blend. All of these are dry aged. We've got if you like a little leaner, we've got a sirloin blend, which is just sirloin ground up into ground beef. And then we have a chuck brisket blend, which is kind of in between our blend and the brisket blend for as far as flavor goes. And then we have the 21-day dry aged all chuck hot dog and the 21-day dry aged chuck and brisket brat. Totally different. I'm sure they're out there, but I would challenge anyone to find a 21-day from a singular piece of the cow hot dog and brat.
And you got that at the shop over
We
here?
got those at the shop.
Okay, I got to do that.
Yeah,
I haven't done that yet.
They're super fun. I had somebody describe them as steak in a tube. And you don't think of hot dogs that way.
No,
right?
you think about what we're used to culture
right.
with hot dogs. Dude.
Right.
I mean,
right. You buy 18 of them for 99 cents, and
you don't know what. You don't really know what's in there.
Yeah. So, but as far as cuts, I think it just depends what you're doing. What you want to create, right? On the kind of quicker end, there's the Denvers, like we talked about. There's the flat irons or the sirloin flap, also called a bavette. those take marinades really, really well. You can marinate them for 24 hours, and you come and get a great piece of beef. We had a flank last night that we marinated for 6 hours prior, threw it on the grill. It took us 15 minutes to cook it, and had that with a salad. Fabulous cut of meat. Like, those are kind of your quicker cooks, right? They're thinner. The bavette in its whole is probably 3.2 pounds. Its flank in its whole is 2 pounds, call it. So you got a little bit, if you want to go that route and marinate it and then cook it over the grill and slice it up for the family or what have you. Super cool meats. You go on the bigger end, you got your brisket, which everyone smokes. Our brisket's a little unique because it's a little drier, so it's a little different to smoke. And then the picanhas and the tri-tips. Everyone knows a tri-tip. I like the tri-tip and the picanha. The difference between the tri-tip and the picanha is the picanha has a fat cap that's about 3/4 of an inch that runs along the top of it. So some of you smokers, and actually if you want to slow grill it, that fat kind of seeps in, adds a ton of flavor to the cut, to the picanha. And that's another one you slice up and you can serve. But you can cook those on a flat top, cook them on a wood grill, you can cook them on a gas grill, and you can smoke them. I mean, I've done it all 4 ways, 5 ways. But they're going to weigh 2 to 3 pounds. So, depending on the size of, or you can combine all of them, right? And then there's the higher end steaks. I mean, you've got your tomahawk, got your ribeye, your New York, your Kansas City, which is a bone-in New York, your filet, and we're going to start doing a little bit of a bone-in filet, which adds a little flavor to it, right? All great cuts. Your richest is the ribeye. It's going to have the most marbling to it.
Oh, so good.
Your filet is going to be your most tender, easily cuttable. My favorite is the New York because it's somewhat between the two. Sometimes ribeyes can get a little rich for me, so the New York is a little bit more of a muscle meat, but has tons of marbling in it. Super packed with flavor, a little denser cut than the ribeye and the filet. And you can smoke those as well. I've tried my venture into that. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, I'm not stellar at that. I'm the same way as you. I can't just sit there and let things. I'd rather do the stuff like the Denver. At the most, I'll do a tri-tip, right?
Yeah.
And I'll get that going, and I'll smoke it, and I'll cut it up and make tacos and make salads and stuff like that. The tri-tip is very diverse. I'm pretty new to the tri-tip probably the last couple of years because my pops, he handed me one from your place, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And it's just so diverse the things you can do with it. It was so much more tender than I thought it would be. Like I was, as far as expectations. And I guess there's a key, you got to cut it the right way too, or something like that. So there's something to know about with the grain, right? So make sure you do that.
For sure.
I've been successful 100% so far, but I'm sure my day will come where I'm like half asleep. But it's so diverse. Cutting up into tacos, doing fajitas, just you name it, and it's just it's great.
Yeah, and the carne asada, we do sell a carne asada, chopped and sliced. It's not seasoned, but it's ready for your seasoning. That's out of the chuck.
Okay.
So it comes out of the shoulder clod, and so you're gonna get a super marbled, chopped up or sliced, packaged, ready to go carne asada. Or you can order, a chuck roll or a shoulder clod from us. We can cut it that week for you, and you can make your own carne asada out of it if you want to put in the work, or we've got it pre-made. But you're talking about tacos and things like that. I mean, it's pretty good stuff. Heck, you can put it in chili.
Yeah.
Not exactly in 100-degree weather you were craving chili, but you can take that chopped chuck and put it in the chili as kind of with a little more chunks, with some chorizo. We've got all beef chorizo that I'm biased, but I like it.
Yeah. Okay. I got some more stuff to try. All right, so how do they order online? Just go to the website?
Yeah, you can go to the website, vepremiumbeef.com. You can call into the office, 520-455-9317, or you can email us at beef@veraearlranch.com. We got a rule that we get an email, so you get a return email in 30 minutes. When you call in, someone will answer the phone. They can take your order there. They can kind of show you how to do it online. We're changing our website up, so currently ordering online is fine. We get it. But the way it works is we get the order, and then Morgan or Grace or Callie will call you within 30 minutes of opening the store and discuss your order with you. Make sure, we're getting the type size steaks you want. Make sure we're getting you exactly what you want in that order. And then they'll build it for you and send you the total. And if it's too much or too little, you can say, I want to add this, or you can say, pull this off. And we can do that. Then we send you a bill. You pay, you either can come down and get it or we'll deliver it.
Awesome. Hey, and if you go down there and get it, okay, let everybody know you're down there and what you think. It's a beautiful landscape, and take the time to do it. Share some stuff on social media. You know how we are here. So, yeah. Ian, it's been great having you here again. I look forward to having you here again soon and possibly seeing you on some other shows. I think you would. I think it'd be awesome to see you on Chris's show too. I think he's a big foodie guy. Is Foodie Friday?
Oh yeah,
so, yeah. He does a Foodie Friday. I think it was last week or the week before. 6 different restaurants came through on the show.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, and they brought dishes, and we were showing it on camera, and it just was this steady flow, and it was the owners, talking about all their food. It was really cool. So Foodie Friday, it's a big thing we're doing. We're moving it into some tourism stuff that we're building for this side of the air. What do you call it? North end of Tucson. Right. It's going to be called Move. It's Marana Oral Valley Experience. So we're going to be tying into both. And we're going to be working with the Westward Look and some other places, and it's going to be really cool.
Oh, awesome.
And so it's all going to tie in together. Yeah. So we're going to have a good time. But, man, thanks again for being here. I loved our conversation today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was
incredible. I'm going to make sure I share the heck out of it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching Local Marana today. It was great having you on with us. As always, go check out Vera Earl. Go down there. Go to Sonoita. Take your family for the day. There's things to do there. There's spots to eat. And there's spots to hang out and go see all the cattle. You'll see them right there outside of the building. We wish you a good rest of the day and the rest of the week. Have a good one.